not the kind of person who is sentimental. But this thing is making me soft, giving into my damn heart. It feels like I am losing my grip, going crazy. 'Cause this doesn't make any sense. You're broken down all my defenses. No way back to the old me. When I'm stuck here on planet X, I'll become the person I've hated. Wonder what will happen next. Yeah, I don't know why. It's like a charge around us that just feels right. Can't get my head around it. I can never hit the brakes. Every time you touch me, babe, you send me right out into space. You send me right out into space. Right into space. My head tells me to stop, but there is nothing I can do now. When I'm with you, I lose myself.
All right, happy Monday. Can we get a mic check, please?
It's like a charge around us that just
Too much stuff on the desk.
You actually moved the stuff that I just piled up.
Yeah, I moved it into a box and put it elsewhere. It was
This is
just
what
too
John
much.
does. Now I have to go look at every box.
I need it out of my visual range. Great. Look at my settings. So I apologize. We may still be on the settings from last week, which is going to be a little bit laggier, and by the looks of it, it is. And again, that means we are getting the captions done.
Right.
For the live stream, at least. As soon as this goes to replay, we got to wait like 24 hours. Blech. All right. Well, did anybody get their first doll? It's kind of a silly question right now because not that many people are. Well, I think people are, but not as many people are buying dolls. A lot of people are waiting.
Mm-hmm. Mimiko Minis. If you think about what I've been going through this week, you can probably guess who's in the Kigurumi.
Yeah, her picture is in the Discord. All right. I think that's done pretty good. I think I have everything I need. Is there any other questions before we get going? Otherwise, I'll return you to your regular scheduled Smarty party.
Try to tell
if you think it's too good to be true, it probably is.
We're talking scams and an updated release window for the new Evolve frame.
It's December 12th, and this is your Smart Doll News.
Welcome back. We took a little break. We took some pieces of my wife.
I was going to say we removed some organs, and, yeah.
But we are back. It's nice to be here.
It is. It is. It feels good to be attempting to be somewhat normal.
Yeah. So we have a number of things to talk to. It's going to be a pretty news heavy, I think, night, and a couple of interesting stuff in the back, the behind the scenes section. We have started our Q&A in the live chat. So while we're talking, if you have a question, please leave it there. We're not doing the type question into your statement anymore. Use the new question or Q&A feature in YouTube. And we will be answering those at the end of the show. We are also a little bit laggier again. We're trying for the second week. I think it's like a 30-second delay or so, but it is giving everybody access to the, I don't know if it's full closed captioning or if it's just, I don't know how it would be closed captioning. But
Go accessibility.
Yay, subtitles for at least English. And those of you who haven't are not watching this live, you will have to wait about 24 hours for the YouTube full subtitles to kick in. So let's start with this girl. Who do we got here?
I have had two girls hanging out with me for the past week.
Excuse me while I find my light.
Oh, we didn't have the light on.
There we go.
That's better. I've had two girls hanging out with me for the past week. John dressed my girl, Miranda, Cinnamon Future, up in the kigurumi. And so she has been cuddly and hanging out with me for the week.
Yeah, these things are so good for, turning the doll, giving the dolls a little bit of extra cushioning and having to be a little bit more comfortable to hang out with them.
These and the robes are great for that, and I mean, I hope Danny does more kigurumis because that for kids getting into Smart Doll right now, having the kigurumi is awesome.
I feel like you should try stuffing this at some point.
So you could actually carry it around and squeeze it. And then I also had with me, she's sitting over here, but I had Hero in some French Bulldog leggings from Elite Doll World and some slippers and a sweater just hanging out. And she was sitting here with, I want to give a shout out to Anna and Corey from Kitten Cat Shop because as a little surprise, they sent me one of their new coffee mugs with the different drinks that you can drop into it with my avatar on it. Which
it's so cool.
I thought was very, very sweet. So, Anna and Corey, thank you very, very much. It was a nice little treat to get in the mail.
And you got to respect their design of these because, they've designed multiple types of liquids or, pretend liquids.
Yeah,
and they just stack on each other in different ways to reach the correct height. Although I suppose if you wanted it all the way down, you could do that.
They also color change too. They've got this blue one, but if you put a different color underneath it, it changes what that looks like a little. And...
But yeah, it's nice. It's a really kind of a I don't know, multifaceted thing versus a lot of times you would simply get. Here is a coffee cup with coffee in it.
Yeah.
You can have different levels.
Right.
And you can have different beverages all with one thing. So very clever, guys.
Yeah, and that's they suggested in their note that it could also be hung on the Christmas tree, which is true. I could have put it on a ribbon and hung it on the tree.
Yeah.
But it's super cute to use for the girls, and I love that it's got my avatar on it.
Yeah. So thank you. Check it out at kittencatshop.com.
I believe that is correct.
It's almost... I hope I got that right. And if not, I will update it in the... I'll add a link into the description later. Yeah. The I think we should get started. I do want to thank. I haven't had a chance, unfortunately, with the craziness of this last week to update our Super Smarties. But I do want to say thank you to everyone. A special shout out to Angel Kitty, who gave one in the middle of the Smarty party. And it wasn't set up to play in there, and I apologize. And honestly, I'm not sure if I fixed it. I'll make sure that gets done. But thank you again, and thank you all. So let's talk about headlines. So first up, we got scams.
Yeah, so there's like positive and cool elements to this, and Danny actually does refer to it in this post, but there's like positive and cool elements to this, and also like scary and sad. Smart Doll has become popular enough that there are scam websites to buy them.
Yeah, and typically what we're talking about here are places that will latch on to Shopify shops and just scrape all the data off of the shop and then reconstruct it into a new site and then sell it for really cheap. And of course, they don't actually have the products.
Exactly. And for those of us who know, like going to the page and seeing, well, you've got pictures of it there, going to the page and seeing that you can get a Blue Girl for like $95. That's a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, Mirai here, $91.99. Not an accurate price. A Blue Girl, $93.99. That would be Relentless Semi-Real. It's really unfortunate. I hope no one gets taken in, but they do a pretty decent job. I am not putting up the website name. I actually did a little bit of investigation into their website. There's really not much you can do. They have, like most people these days, have protected their personal information on their domain. So you don't know who registered the domain, things like that. And the only place I did actually find an email address was when you try to check out with PayPal. You can, they use, essentially, it gives you the account, the email, the account. There's very little, unfortunately, that Danny can do about this. And I don't know if that has to do with international, because quite honestly, I mean, PayPal may be the best way to tackle this, but who knows where this is actually hosted. So the legality of what's actually happening and the ability for anyone to really take down the website is pretty low.
Right. So you're dealing with if you know someone, or if someone has fallen prey to this, you're dealing with your bank. If you used your debit card, you're dealing with, your credit card company,
PayPal, whoever you can.
What scares me about it is this is the holiday season, and I think, if kids find this website, they're going to go to their parents and they're going to say, I want this doll. And the parents are going to go, this is $94. Oh, this isn't too bad. This will be their big gift for Christmas. And then turn around and pay for that. And then the poor kid isn't going to get anything. And that's really, really sad.
Yeah, I hope, I don't know. I mean, it's really impossible for us to know. I haven't heard of anybody who have actually fallen for this specifically. This has been around. I mean, we took note of it like a year ago, I think, this particular website. And again, nothing to be done then. It came back up this week. Someone on our Discord brought it up, and Danny put out this post. So it is the best thing we can do is to just educate people. So, Sandy, where should we be getting Smart Doll?
There are 3 places that you can officially buy a brand new Smart Doll. Smartdoll.jp, which is Danny's official website.
Yep.
Which is what we are looking at right now.
You've also got, if I can get it,
FabricFriendsDolls.com, which is here in the United States, in Maryland. They are an official retailer.
Mm-hmm.
And animesugoi.de.
That's anime-sugoi, although I believe we tried
converts
and
it,
it
yeah.
redirects you, yeah.
And that is the European site to use for Smart Doll as an official retailer. Those 3 places are the only official places to buy Smart Doll new.
Outside of that, of course, there is secondhand purchases, eBay, purchasing it through, sales posts on Facebook groups. And the one thing Danny mentions, which is a lot of Facebook groups treat as a hard rule, is protect yourself. Use, don't do things like PayPal friends and family with people. If you don't know this person and you don't
It's called
trust
friends
them,
and family because they are supposed to legitimately be
Right.
your friend or your family.
So make sure you're, vetting people. Look for other sales that they've done. Ask for references. When we bought that very large thing, the bunch of milk dolls from Thomas, we asked him for references, and he gave us a number of very long-standing people in the community, and we were able to just quickly connect, and they were like, yep, I've purchased X times. It's been great. Had no
Yep.
problems.
And we bought a prototype, and that actually drew the attention of Danny, who said, do you know who you got it from, etc. And we told him, and he was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because he was concerned that an illegitimate prototype had been purchased.
So that is, it's not too hard. Just stick to the main websites, and obviously recognize that prices are going to be higher on the third-party sites, Fabric Friends and Dolls and Anime Sugoi, and that is because they have to pay for import fees. They're bringing large things in bulk. They're going to get charged, fees, bigger fees than we would necessarily personally buying directly from Danny. And that's, quite honestly, the only time we tend to buy from, for us it would be Fabric Friends and Dolls, is if it's somebody that they have that comes up that we haven't been able to get, and we're really willing to pay the extra money in order to secure that doll.
And those sites are only, they have to, I don't know, I kind of lost you for a minute there, I'm sorry, but
It's all right.
you kind of have to, acknowledge that they have to pay for import taxes and shipping, etc.
Yeah.
Barry Wings says, can I just say I'm proud to have recently helped facilitate a purchase for my sister's stepdaughter from Smart Doll for Christmas. I don't have as much air as I normally do, you guys, so bear with me. From the Smart Doll site direct, of course. That's awesome. I'm really excited for your sister's stepdaughter.
So we, again, just buy from an official site. Recommend everyone buy from an official site, and stay safe out there when you are buying secondhand. Okay, take a breath, Sandy. Next up, we're gonna talk about the Evolve frame, and we've got a number of really meaty posts here from Danny about the Evolve frame. So much so I'm going to get my notes here. So Danny went into a pretty good detail about how the Evolve frame is going to be able to articulate. We also have coming up after this discussion of his the tests and things that they're going to have to do, as well as that updated time frame. So stay tuned for that. So, first up is articulation. In the pictures that we are going to be looking at here, the Coco doll on the right is made with the Evolve frame, and the T doll is made with the current V2 frame.
Okay.
And so we start with the bust line. This is really impressive to me.
Yeah, this isn't something that we've really had him talk about until now. This post particularly really talks about it. Is look at the difference, the size of the gap. He's made it work so that when the doll bends backwards, you don't have that gap there.
And I think that has to do, my guess is I think they've gotten the teensiest bit shorter. That's my best way to guess of like how this has changed. That the way they were able to make the spine, because they're custom making pieces, they're not like doing it by the pre-manufactured armature pieces that they normally use in the spine. That they've got like just the perfect height maybe and just the perfect spot for it to bend, so that when it bends back, it really hugs the torso and does not create the gapping that we're seeing there on the standard one. So that's very cool, I think. Next up is sitting.
We've been talking about this one for a while because we have actually seen this before. But seeing them side by side, you can really see how much he has improved the way that the doll sits straight.
Yeah. The other point that he makes here is that it also locks into place. There, you can get the current gen to sit a particular way. The hips have to spread out just a little bit, and you have to kind of seat them just forward in the right way. But the tension that you're putting on the frame naturally will push them back a little bit, and they will rest back in the spot that we see here. So not only can we push them a bit farther, it stays there when we do.
The splits.
Yes, or the as Danny calls it, the spinning bird kick. So we saw splits. We actually did a video unboxing of the Elena,
soft body on the current frame.
I was having trouble deciding whether or not Elena was a name that we gave her or whether that's what she came with. But that's
the
what
name she came with, and we decided it worked.
So yet again, I mean, you can see here, it's doing some interesting stuff in terms of like how the vinyl has to sit on here. You can see the actual opening of the vinyl into the hip socket here. So you really have to kind of twist the hips in such a way to get it to do this, but it will do it, and it does it just fine. I don't know how long I leave it here in terms of concern over maybe what this might do to the vinyl, but it looks like it does just fine.
Yeah, I'm sure that Danny will address it at some point.
And that he's doing hopefully longer term testing on some of these poses and things.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so here's what we have, the hero landing pose, which is not quite as far as I'd like, but I'll get to that.
I think that the difference is remarkable. I mean, the lines are completely different.
Yeah. Oh, totally. This looks, they are very much two different things. You cannot, there is no way to do this pose with the current doll. I'd like to see this be the, what they call the 3-point landing. Like, I'd like to see if you could do a 3-point landing, which is basically the Black Widow landing.
With the hand and
where the hand actually goes down on the ground.
The one that was the gag in the movie where her sister was like, why do you always do that?
Well, even this could be a 3-point landing as long as the hand touches the ground. That's
right.
The key here. And I don't, my guess is it probably can't. That's probably a little bit too far of being able to get the arm all the way forward.
You'd have to be able, you could probably pull something off where you angle the front knee out and then she bends that way, and then the back leg is a little bit more out to the other side. So
I cannot wait to try this, when we get it. Like, how far can we push this? Yeah. It's very cool. Here we have what he calls the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure pose. So I think that's this one. Yeah, okay. So here we basically can see sort of like a leg forward, hip out kind of pose, for sort of dramatic.
It's like a turnout.
It's a little bit of a turnout, and one leg a little bit back than the other, and the arms back. You you can't really do that on the current. It's pretty much just a straight standing pose. Here we have the Strider Hiryu, and this is what he describes as a pose from the 1989 arcade game Strider. So again, we've got essentially a forward lunge.
Yep.
And it's not an amazingly deep lunge, but it's markedly better than the current generation. You really see a bend in that knee.
Mm-hmm. I think all these poses are getting so much better for artists who use Smart Doll too. I mean, just looking at this particular photo, I can see sitting down and trying to, copy that.
Yeah, absolutely. Here he talks about two things, the support sockets and the knees. Let's start with the support sockets here. We get new support sockets with the new frame.
Mm-hmm. The shape is so much more organic.
Yes.
It just kind of blends in a little bit.
Yeah, that beveled edge there and the teardrop shape looks fantastic. I love that. He also mentions that it can now be removed with a screw and, quote, replaced with augmentations yet to be announced.
I'm thinking jetpacks, wings, extra arm sets. Like, there's so many cool you could Doc-Ock them like crazy.
Yeah, and you can kind of do that now, but it sounds like he's going to make it, I think, even easier to do that. And maybe it's something that we'll be able to 3D print. I'm guessing that he would make that attachment, whatever that modification is, or the augmentation that he described, as a 3D print, that an STL file that people could download, add to their own things, and make their own attachments.
This whole, interest in doing cyborg stuff is going to open up a lot of creativity in the community, I think. I think we're going to start seeing a lot of really interesting augmentation.
Yeah, definitely. And the knees. This is a very subtle thing, and I don't know that this picture is incredibly fair. I'd like to see this in the same skin tone, preferably in the cinnamon skin tone, so you can really see more. But over on the left, we have the old frame, and you can clearly see the bar or the post that's going up into the knee, and you can see where this is essentially the bottom of the rotation. Like there's like a stop where so that you can only rotate the knee so far, and you can see the bottom of that there. But if you look over here, you see pretty much just the joint. It looks like a ball joint, and almost that's it.
Yep.
I really do believe, though, that if this were, I would just I would like a better look at it, not in Coco, because it's so hard to compare the two because the lighting is different.
Right, it's not that it's not fair, it's just that it's like it would be easier if you were comparing it at least to Cinnamon, if not another tea.
It's not a visual apples to apples comparison. But to me, there's definitely a cleanliness to the new knees. So he also mentions that he expects people to jump ship as a result of the new frame and the new experience, because it is different and it may not be what you expect or what you want in a doll. And he said this numerous times. He's okay with that.
In a way, that's great for the secondhand market, because there's a lot of people who are going to be wanting to swap their version 2 frames for the new frame. And there will be...
I'm sure there's people who would rather have the old one, possibly. I put out a little question on the Discord to kind of see what people thought about, like, what are your concerns about the new frame? Like, I'm just like, is Danny off base? Is there big concerns out there in the community? And I think the best things that I can come up with are, there is an unknown aspect to the experience that I don't think we'll really understand until we have it. But exactly the feel of that clicking, of that haptic feedback, and he hasn't talked about sound, but I can only assume it has some sort of sound. You can't generally create that sort of haptic feedback without creating some sound.
There's going to be a sound there because you've got two items bouncing against each other. But there will be, the vinyl will muffle it somewhat, and as well as grease being used to keep it from being too clicky clacky.
Also, I think probably to maintain it, but yeah, it'll definitely be interesting as, you know, we get, like, I really want to make sure that we get a new frame as soon as possible so that we can do a full, like, I want to do a full breakdown of them. I want to, like, really understand how much sound does it make, or how much, you know, like, what does the feel like? Does it take you out of the illusion of a doll? Like,
I mean, you and I talked about, is it going to take you more into the realm of an action figure?
Yeah.
Action figures often have a more mechanical way of posing.
Yep.
It always, whenever he says haptic feedback or talks about the noise that it makes, I always think about, like, you know, when I was a little kid, one of my favorite Barbies was one of the ballerina Barbies.
Yeah.
And when you bent her knees, you heard this little pop, pop, pop noise. And to me, it's nostalgic. So I think I will probably actually enjoy the new frame.
I wonder how many, you know, I mentioned experience. I just wonder, like, will it change? Like, will it disturb people in that it's not silent? Like, it's now mechanical. Like, it's now, like, it's you know, there's this sort of, you can start to fantasize about your characters and stuff like that. But when you're posing them, now suddenly it's like a, you know, like, is that going to be an issue? I don't think it's going to be an issue for me, but I can imagine, like, I feel like the doll community is a very tactile and sensory sensitive community.
The smart doll, they all are, yes. And I mean, in the smart doll community in particular, who adjusted to, like, the quality of clothing, etc., that Danny produces, and
Right.
and everything, you know, like the little buttons and the real suede and the, you know, like all of this stuff that that makes it special and expensive and you know, like, I think that, you know, I don't know, I think it's gonna be a mixed bag.
I also wonder, like, you know, I can take on the foot, and maybe I shouldn't, but I can take on the foot and just put pressure upwards, and everything equally, sort of the pressure, the force that I'm using is distributed throughout the different joints, and all joints move.
Yes.
I'm really interested to see how that happens with the new joints. You know, is it the same? Does it work exactly the same?
Right.
Or are you going to be like, I've got to move the thigh.
I want the thigh in this position.
And then the knee, and then the, you know, this. You're going to have to, like, go down the line or something. I don't know. I think for most people, from the sound of it, are excited about this. Everyone in the chat room seems to be really, you know, just saying how much they can't wait for the new frame.
Honestly, I know that you and I are, like, we're probably just going to keep our dolls where they are and get a couple of dolls with frames and swap them out as we need them. But I bet you anything... Oh, excuse me.
It's all right.
Oh, I bet you anything we're going to be like, yeah, you know, Chi needs a new frame, or, like...
I mean, yeah, I think it's obviously we get a new doll, we get a new frame. I think we're going to want to get a few frames. And that's, again, I treat it as kind of like how I've been treating the blue dolls, of having enough blue bodies that I can be fine with having blue heads and swap them around so that you have, you know, it's, you know, for me, it's how many bodies do I need on camera at once? And I think that would go for this as well, which would mean a new frame for every skin tone at the minimum, and possibly, you know, for cinnamon cardamom, for the cinnamon dolls, because we have a bunch of cinnamon dolls. I would probably want a number of extra frames.
Yeah, it's cinnamon and blue are the majority of our dolls right now.
It's just me. So yeah, can't wait. Can't wait to see what Danny has to say about that. He also had a bunch to say about the process and all the testing that he's doing right now. Specifically, the injection molding process. They have to get the injection molding process just right and optimize for specific variables, which are plastic temperature, pressure, velocity, and then the cooling rate. Because if they don't have that balanced perfectly, they won't like correctly, they'll actually get like geometric deformations and things, won't turn out correctly. So they do things like utilizing thermal cameras. This is an add-on that you can get for your iPhone and turn it into a thermal camera. And they're actually measuring how much heat is built up in the joints when you move them back and forth.
Okay.
And again, this is kind of like, this is an outlier use case, right? This is not normal things. You don't normally, unless you're maybe, a child, you're not normally going to be taking,
children might sit there and play with the joint back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, like a fidget toy.
Right. But he wanted, here they're making sure that the joints can actually accommodate that expansion, and that being the thermal expansion that happens as the plastic heats up, and do the joints still actually work. They are also testing, and we've seen lots of these. He's been putting out these sorts of tests for quite a while, but these are stress tests, and to basically see how much force they can take and still hold together in various different, sort of shear force, axial force, and what is it going to take to actually pull things apart. Now, my guess here is in this particular one, this is actually the shoulders and the middle spine, and my guess is what's going to pull apart here is this joint, this ball joint right here, and this plastic. How long can they go before that plastic starts to expand enough or warp enough, and then this could just pop right out? I suppose also it could like literally break in like here, for instance, down here at the ball joint as well. Mm-hmm. But my guess is they're testing two pieces together, so the failure point is probably the connection of those two pieces. In this case, and he doesn't really give you much of an understanding, but he does mark that this is 340 newtons, and that's basically kilograms force. That's 34 kilograms force of trying to pull it together, and it's not coming apart. So you'll see newtons a lot, which is basically the measurement of the force and energy that it's going to take to that, or that you're applying to it. We also have, there they are. He mentions that they use washers for the main limb joints that helps distribute the load. They weren't using washers previously in the past, so they've added those in to here. And I will note, we've noted this on the hips in the past of how like they're not mirrored parts. They're the same part that's flipped for either side. So we have a screw on this side. On the opposite arm, it's the same piece. So since it's on the opposite arm, it's turned around, and that same screw is on the back side now. And I point this out specifically because these are just a couple of other ways that you can see in his design of efficiency that he's using. That is the same part. He's not modeling the inverse or the mirrored version of a part in order to get a left and right.
Right.
He is just making two copies of the same part, and just putting them in place in different directions. So, let's see. He mentions here that they are actually making a standard of how much force that they use on each of these. Let's go a little bit forward. Actually, we'll go back. This is the screwdrivers that they use.
Is that torque limiting screwdriver?
Yeah, so or just torque screwdrivers, but you can see here, this is like an electric one. This, I believe, is manual. You can actually determine how much torque measured in centinewtons that you can apply. And once you hit that point, it's going to stop. Like, it's just going to spin, and it's not going to apply anymore. This is common, like, you have on a drill bit or an electric drill, you have a torque, dial, and or a screw gun, and this is basically the same thing where you're determining how much effort, and once it hits that point, it kind of like disengages, and then you're just spinning, and you're not doing, you're applying no more force. So that gives them the ability to apply exactly the right amount of force, and this is all kind of stupid and geeky, but the really cool thing about this is Danny has given us essentially the map for how much, if you want to construct this frame exactly the way that they do, of how much torque that they're using on each of these items. And so you can easily buy a torque screwdriver if you are building your own. And know that you are getting what they've deemed is the right and a consistent amount of torque as you're screwing in each of these things. So I love this.
So this is useful for people who actually get the parts and build their own, or have to repair it all, etc.
So if you got any of those packages full of frame parts and stuff. I would save this picture.
That is for weren't the parts that went out though for the current frame, not for the new one?
I thought there was new stuff I thought there was maybe I'm wrong.
I think it was current frame.
Either way, as soon as you get any of this sort of stuff, which
I don't know. I've been sleeping for a week. So.
No, I think you're probably right, but I think it's not going to be that long before we're probably going to start getting chaos. Frame parts and such. So I think it's cool. And again, this is one of those things where if you do not read and go through all the pictures, you can easily miss this. Now, the other thing of note is the fact that all of this testing means that we've got a little more time than we thought. Previously, what did we have previously for our estimate? For when the Evolve frame comes out.
I thought it was like January or February, something.
He was actually saying December.
Originally.
We were saying January.
Yeah.
And now he is talking the early Q2. Mm-hmm. So we're talking April now. And that is disappointing, but totally understandable. When this thing launches, I think it's going to be one of the most well-tested and transparently tested items that I've bought.
Yep. Yeah, I'm really excited for it.
So Q2, April-ish of the next year. That does mean that we've got a little bit, a little bit to go.
Seeing a lot of questions going on in the chat. Make sure you put those in the Q&A if you want us to address them.
Couple other things. We are getting low on time here. I knew we'd spend a lot of time on that. we have a quick note here from Danny in the past few weeks that they're actually using Smartdoll in some STEM classes for a school in New Jersey and in Japan and in Taiwan. So it's very cool to see, young aspiring, whether it be, fashion designers.
In the case of STEM, so engineering type things and stuff like that. I mean, are they actually looking at the frame? Are they looking at, like?
I think it's fashion design, but it's hard. I'm not sure. Yeah. It's.
But yeah, I would love to know how these schools are using Smart Doll, like what they are actually doing with it in their STEM program.
Because I don't. STEM technically includes arts, even though it doesn't have it in an acronym. It sort of like comes in and out of the acronym, from what I remember. So it could be that. But it's just fantastic.
I did notice, like that first shot that you showed of the girl pointing that she has a hearing aid and that the doll that she's carrying has a hearing aid. So there could be some of that too.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can see here various versions. I mean, these are clearly sketching body poses and such. Mm-hmm. And.
Oh yeah, you can see. Go back to that one.
Hold on.
At that collage you have there. They're looking at, down on the left here, they are looking at assembling the frame.
Yep. It looks like, that looks like a Cortex doll.
Yeah. So that's probably part of their STEM, like, engineering. Basically understanding how that all goes together.
And last little thing that Danny put out there was a preview of his playing around with an orange band. We've seen this a little bit here and there of different bands that he's been trying for the underwear.
I'm a fan of the two, the center and the left. I actually messaged him that I wanted to see the light blue. I don't know if he saw it or not, but I would love to see I would like to see light blue and orange because I really like that combination.
Yeah, no, that works nicely. I actually like the shade of blue here too. I'm fine with the one on the right. I don't care for it on the tea skin tone. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, a fuchsia would be really pretty too. Like a fuchsia and orange would be nice.
Yeah. So like this week, it's been a couple. So this has been a big couple of weeks. We were off last week, I should say. But
not up to much. Just decided to take the day off.
Just playing with robots and lasers. So if you enjoyed this recap so far of the last couple of weeks of news and some big reveals, we hope you will give this video a like. It is the single best thing you can do to help spread this to more and more people. We really appreciate your support. And in the meantime, we've got a couple. I'm going to probably have to skip a bunch because we are running late. But we have a couple of behind-the-scenes pictures. So here, real quick, you can see the grease. This was one of my mistakes when I put together when I did my custom shorts Smart Doll. I did not grease up the socket, but you can see here the change to the back. Here, it's got this new little like post there, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's always been the biggest complaint. Is it's very difficult to get that socket put in and flush.
Yeah, you get it at the right socket. It looks like they use custom tools. They look kind of like really long clamps and stuff that they use, but it doesn't look like it's something you can just outright buy, which is unfortunate. But a couple pieces of wood and just really making sure that you do the grease. Another look at that. I just love how the new socket looks.
It like actually looks like it's set into the flesh more than the current one.
Yeah.
Which is
It really more a part of the body. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been seeing these around for a while, but we've got these in different colors now. But still just that one pose. So I don't know. What do you think? Are we going to get a packet of these to buy in different tones, or are we going to get more than just this one?
I don't know. I mean, he may decide to do those particular hands in a few different poses, and that will be the pack. Because, I mean, it looks like there's some different things going on here. So, yeah, see, because, like, one finger bent down there, one finger sticking out. Like, these are some of the hand poses that we're accustomed to.
This is the same hand pose over and over and over again. This is just the default hand pose. They're just at different angles.
Okay. So, I mean, he's doing the default hands like that. So maybe he'll do, like, a hand pack that has, like, maybe we'll get a fist and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is, from what I can tell, the way he's been displaying these hands is this is for essentially having a no-skin girl. Like, it is just the frame, and he's got that little, like, almost, there's a robot from Star Wars that, like, collapses into a tiny little tin can and, you know, is like it's from the prequels, I think. But it very much has that sort of, like, UFO sort of small head on top of the neck and these robot hands.
Yeah, I think we might get a small pack, like for example, like he did for Batgirl, where you got a pack with just a couple different hands in it.
Yeah, or maybe they're just gonna come with, like, when you buy, if you buy just the frame itself, maybe you get these, you know, because it's just like, what is the point of doing these in skin tones?
Yeah, Cornflower Blue commented Transformer hands. Now, Danny did say something about if you're a Transformers fan or whatever, there might be a reason that you want the new frame. So this could have to do with that.
It could. It's just odd that for Transformers that these are skin toned. So I see this as, like, you know, it's you've got a doll, like, naked as a form that you can pose, but you've also got the frame by itself that you can pose. I mean,
right.
We've seen plenty of pictures of it tonight.
Looking like, so you can actually have a robot.
Yeah, it is essentially a robot. Here we have something from his stories. What's up with the ultra, like, cobalt blue hand here?
I mean, it's very much Transformer blue.
Yep. I don't understand it. Like, I still don't, like...
Maybe it's for, I mean, it could be just a color he's testing, but it could also be for a new licensed doll that has that color hand or wears that color glove.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's it's weird. I'd be interested to put that on a blue girl.
It'd be interesting, yeah.
It could also be like, I don't know, Danny's making nitrile gloves for the
right.
But yeah, we shall see. Okay, so we got grays. This is tough. Obviously, this is an earlier picture. We have a theory of who this is. And
we actually had an argument over it for a bit.
I mean, I got out sculpts and tried to replicate the angle because you have very little to go on here.
Right. But, like, I was actually looking at the picture on the computer screen, and I am blind as a bat without glasses, so I am accustomed to looking at blurry things. My eyes tell me that that's this girl. That I think that is Future.
I thought it was M1 at first. I thought it was, like, North, but we did. Future has this, like, one really big. Obviously, you can't see this from what we're showing you, but I believe this. I don't know. There's a good possibility that this bit is Future. It's really hard to say, but I'm pretty sure it's the G7 sculpt. I checked the ear prints because there's actually a difference in the ear, like the M1.
The M1 ear is a little bit different than the other ear.
But it does look like it's a semi-real girl. Could be future.
And we have 2 different eyes here, so there could actually be 2 different sculpts here. So I think there could actually be maybe an M1 here, because there's a set of semi-real eyes that are the color that has been used for future on the left here.
Yeah.
And then there's like sort of a more of the orangey ambery color on the right.
I don't think they are, mainly because the main features here on these other like are all the same. The back of the ear, like the profile of the ear, the chin is all that same hump. The M1 has a much more distinctive chin than this, but who knows? There's so little to go on here, and we need to keep plugging forward. More grays here. Looks like they're in the heating box to get cut. I believe that these are M1s. You can see the much more pointier chin and this particular ear print.
Aki Roko is talking about the picture of Fortitude. We do have that in the lineup, and I'll address that.
Yeah, just because there's those doesn't mean that they're the same. And yes, I mean, you can, it could be Fortitude as well. But
I don't think it is, simply because of the amount of dark, like with the eyebrows and the lashes and stuff. I don't see that in that computer shot.
Yeah, but we literally are looking at like 5 pixels of black on the corner of an eye. Like, it's almost impossible to tell.
But I was looking at the computer shot and going that, it's a much smaller and lighter eyebrow.
Oh, you're talking about like the sort of general contrast of like how much dark is up here.
Yeah, that looks to me much more like Future's thinner eyebrow than that thick, bold eyebrow. You gotta trust me, because with what you're seeing there is what I see without glasses, like, all the time.
I know, but you're compounding the two. All right, we have no idea. You could make there is a reasonable assumption to be made here that like the corner you're seeing here is what we're seeing over on the other one, but who knows? And we also had the question going around about like, oh, maybe the grays aren't going to come out until the new frame.
Because Danny did say no new dolls until the new frame.
I don't think it's happening. I think he's going to put gray out first, because first of all, we're seeing already he's building and playing with grays not in the new frame. And I think he's gonna be putting out grays ahead of that, but we shall see. There's nothing to stop him from transitioning, but between the two. I also like this shot of we talked about Danny making custom tools. This is Danny making a custom tool. This is, you can see it blurry in the background there. This is a pair of pliers. They are pliers specifically designed for the armature pieces that are the old spine, those orange interconnecting things. And he is essentially cutting out, like the plier part would have a slot that kind of lets the pliers sneak in around those pieces, and then you pull them apart. He's sort of taken this to a box and made it much bigger and very boxy. So my guess is that maybe this is something that they're using to pop some of those larger, they have sort of larger ball joints in the spine, perhaps. Kat just messaged me and said that I was right. From one blind person to another, that is definitely Future. We have confirmation from another blind person.
I'm sorry, we shouldn't actually use that. Neither of us is actually blind, but we are very vision impaired.
All right. We also got a sneak peek of the metallic color that is coming in the new frame. So that is looking great. Also love, I love the idea I love how you can go cyber with these new frame parts easily. You know, like just getting that frame and now mixing and matching frame colors. And last but not least was this cryptic picture of Danny's, I guess, clock?
I mean, it looks like it has something to do with Christmas because he actually put it up in his, with his TV with his Christmas stuff.
But it goes down. When he replaces it, it's gone. He's put other Christmas stuff up there. It's not up anymore. But I whatever clock this is, I can't read it because, like, even just thinking military time and like I can't fathom what this the 6 digits are. And Mimico Minis did just call out Multiverse Metallic is the name of the metal color.
Right.
Thank you. So yeah, I have no idea. I think Danny's counting. I think the most ridiculous assumption I can make here is that he's counting down the minutes until Gray is released or the new
something like that, right?
That is gonna do it for the behind the scenes, which of course means it's time to party.
We came to party all night long. Let's sing along to every song. We don't need nobody's attention, don't need nobody else in our
Gotta love the Smarty Party. We have just such a great community posting their pictures every single week. Love to see it. If you want to, you should be joining our Discord. We just put it up, but I'll put it up again. Check out our Discord server at myladydisdain.com/Discord and join the conversation today.
Barry Wing says, I love all the wintry and Christmas vibes. I do too. We haven't done any Christmas photos or anything yet because
done any photos.
It's just been,
We got the tree up, okay?
The tree is up, the tree is decorated, the tree is lit. But, I got that done right before things last week. But, it's kind of a chill holiday for us.
Yeah, it always brings you back to the Mad TV dating sketch of lowered expectations. Mm-hmm. Like that's what our holidays are this year. So let us take a look. We are just at an hour. Let's see what questions you have. And now I can't see the first question, which is interesting.
There you go.
Mimigo Minis asks, what dolls are you hoping to see in Gray?
Oh, I have quite a few. I have not fallen in love with Prowess yet, but I have a feeling that I will like anime Prowess in Gray.
Yep.
When she comes out. I want, of course, Anomaly in gray, and Relentless. I also think Anime North will be great in gray. I don't know if I'll get her or not because I already have her in cinnamon and blue.
Yeah, I don't know until I really start seeing pictures. I'm not quite sold on Fortitude yet.
Yeah, getting her blushing right, it looks like it's a challenge.
I think finding the right blushing for that's going to be key for the Grey Dolls.
I mean, of course, I'm hoping that I'm right and I want Future, but
Yeah.
But that's just that's just because I like Future.
One could have been Future and the other one. I mean, like it's.
Oh yeah.
They're not like. There's nothing to say that they're the same thing.
No, but I firmly believe that the image on the computer screen was Future.
Sure. All right. Barry Wings says, do you think there will be a big run or click war on trying to get a new body, or will people try to replace all their old bodies?
I think Danny's going to do his best to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, he has talked about how he's going to go about releasing bodies, etc.
It's a very phased approach. I think there's going to be a small one in the beginning, but I don't think it's going to last long. I think like the first round of them I don't know, let's say Mirai starts getting put out with the new body, the new body or something like that. I think people will get her and then sell her or something. But I think I think that's only going to last so long because I feel like those people are looking for one. They want to get their hands on it and they want to figure out what's the deal. We did not mention Danny is going to be posting soonish a video on the new the bodies.
Right. He said that he's going to release a video on the Evolved frame, and then not long after that, there may be some frames that get out into the wild.
Yep.
Before the Q2 release.
Yeah. If we're lucky, we'll be able to grab, again, I'm just looking to grab one as early as possible so that we can do as much examination of them for you ahead of time.
Exactly. Like get a nice detailed video out there.
Rachel Osborne says, do you think Danny will discount dolls using the old frame once Evolve drops, or do you think Evolve will come with a higher price tag? I don't think it's going to be a higher price tag.
He's already talked about not wanting. I mean, he avoids increasing the price of the dolls. Like that's why one of the reasons he went to charging for shipping when he wasn't charging for shipping before.
Yeah.
He didn't want to actually mark up the cost of the dolls. So I think he's going to avoid that if at all possible.
I mean, I think the big question is going to be like the transition period of when. Like, I think he's going to have new dolls, and he'll sell out that doll, and I think he'll only put my guess is he would only put the new frame into a doll that doesn't currently have stock.
Right.
Or listed stock. So that he'll be able to say, this doll has the new frame. These dolls do not.
Right.
So I think he'll be as clear as possible with it. Holly Dolnut says, Danny drops Chaos Vinyl bodies a couple weeks ago. Are these the body he has been talking about for the people who have been buying heads and need bodies, or are they just Chaos bodies? I'm confused.
Those are just Chaos bodies. He did them as kind of like it was kind of like his Black Friday thing.
Yeah.
Like a lot of frame parts and stuff went out. I think those are just extras of the frame.
You are going to see a specific product that he has already called, which makes perfect sense, an option body. So it won't be a Chaos thing. I mean, it might be in the Chaos outlet, perhaps, but he has specifically described them as option bodies. So you have option heads, he'll put out option bodies.
And he's referring to it as, I'm assuming we're going to see Evolve attached to things, too.
Yeah.
He's been using that, so it's going to be, this is an Evolve frame.
Right, not option bodies for the current version. It would be option bodies for Evolve.
Right.
Barry says, in regards to new frames, will there be blue frames if blue is done, or even milk? I'm gonna guess no. I don't think you're gonna see any of those frames.
They might come up in Chaos or something, just like, we've had over the past year or so a milk frame come out or whatever. But I don't think we're gonna see him go back and go, here's an Evolve frame in blue, here's an Evolve frame in milk.
Everything that we know of right now, blue is done. Except for
there's some busts due to come out.
Yeah, he said that he's going to put out a couple busts, but Like we're talking like option parts, not dolls.
The only situation, like I said, where I think we might see a Milk Evolve frame or something like that is if he makes a licensed doll in Milk down the road and it has an Evolve frame, he might actually have some extra frames to put in Chaos. But I don't think I don't think it's a plan that we're going to see Blue and Milk and stuff like that.
Akiroko says, "What are you looking for most in on the upcoming releases next year aside from the new frame?"
I don't know. I want to know what's going on with all this Transformer stuff.
I don't understand it. And it's like the only thing my brain could comprehend is like weird color-coded dolls.
I am very much looking forward to all of the new, more feminine, lighter, Maury girl type things that seems to be working on, that his sewing team is working on. I think that will be nice to have.
I mean, so here's the thing. What I'm looking forward to is the stuff we haven't seen. Like, we have seen so much for so long that hasn't been released, that he's got a huge backlog of stuff. And I know he's been creating things. Like, he doesn't stop making new dolls, but like we have so many dolls that have become option heads or whatever. I'm looking forward to, like, it used to be in the springtime was Danny's big wave of new doll releases and announcements. Now it's everything has gotten so bogged down with the frame and the production issues that we have to get past that, I think, before we can even understand what the future holds. So I'm looking forward to whatever comes next. Yeah.
If you're not holding anything.
No.
What
the future holds. Yes, thank you. God. Tessa's Kingdom says, do you think Danny will make a slight increase in price due to the new frame?
I think we addressed that previously. Yeah. I think he will try to avoid it, but we'll see what happens.
I mean, I won't rule it out. So be prepared, but it's going to make a little difference. It really depends on where you live as far as how much difference it's going to make.
I mean, there's a chance maybe that the old frame price would go down a little bit, but I don't even think so because, it's still a perfectly good frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Holly Donald says, do you think Danny will wait to release gray dolls with the Evolve frame, or do you think we'll get gray sooner? And I pretty much have said this.
We've discussed this. We did see pictures of actually gray being made with parts that are not the Evolve frame. That's the current frame. He did say no new dolls until the new frame.
But that's been pushed now.
Right. So we may actually see, I think we're going to see gray with the current frame.
And gray, the gray and blue, like they've always been special. They have their own, like I sort of look at it as like they have their own production line, kind of thing. Like they have their own molds. They have their own molds that are used for those. Like that's why they only do one of them. Blue is now shifted into gray. So I feel like there's very little reason for him not to just push forward with that. It's just a matter of time. And I would see him just, I don't know. I think he's going to release gray earlier, personally. But who knows? BJD Doll Fam, do you think he'll drop Evolve bodies in all batch as all batch to option head buyers first? He specifically has said what the order they will go in.
Yeah, originally he did say he was going to, when they were released separately, that it would be a small release for people who had purchased option heads first. But he's changed his mind on that. We got a re-up. A new version of that schedule, and I forget what he said.
He let's see. I don't even know, where did he say it?
I think it was an Instagram post or something.
Yeah. Or was it in our questions earlier? Basically, he said that he was gonna get new dolls. And then it was going to be, I don't know. It's gonna be phased, and somewhere in the middle is the option head. Buyers are gonna be there. But it was the wording was weird, and it wasn't about option head. It was about like people who have smart dolls, not new buyers. Like it was a weird sort of change in wording.
Right.
But I don't know for sure that means that he's actually changed what he's doing. But we'll see. Where is my mouse? Katie says, do you think eventually he's going to get rid of the current frame entirely once the new one drops? Yes.
Yes, I think he will phase it. He's going to phase it out.
There is little need for him. I don't know, I doubt he's going to get rid of, let's put it this way. I'm sure he has tons of parts, like in bits and pieces. And, I doubt he's going to get rid of like his molds and stuff and the injection molding that they do for it. So if he needed to like create every now and then like warranty parts and batches and things like that,
right.
I'm sure he has the capability to either stock up on them or do them again if he needed to. But outside, as far as like regular sales, I doubt it.
I think we need to go. We just got a super chat.
It's because I wasn't looking at the thing. Thank you, Tessa's Kingdom.
Thank you very much.
Says, I really enjoy watching your live stream every Monday. I always look forward to it. Thank you.
We do too.
We got to set up a better thing so we can see both our questions and the live
It did
chat.
show.
Oh, I know. I was just looking at you. So, but still, I feel like I've got like blinders on. Where were we?
Do you think he's going to get rid of? Yeah. Okay.
Rachel Osborne, any ideas on when the physical store will reopen? I'm visiting Japan in February and hoping to go.
He said that it is going to reopen with new like guidelines, restrictions kind of thing. But he didn't say when. He said that was going to be an upcoming announcement. He would give the details, but we haven't gotten them yet.
Yeah, nothing new there yet in terms of an actual timeline. But he is working towards it. Chris Armour says, what is the difference between the old bodies and the new frame? I would say go back and watch the video from the beginning. There's a lot of differences. Fundamentally, strength, posability.
The way that the joints actually work,
Yep.
the way they actually function.
There's a lot of
It's just
big
going to
differences.
result in a lot of stability, ability to hold a pose, ability to carry more, hold more weight.
Yeah.
It's a general engineering improvement to the frame.
And easier for them to produce and put together, so it should help them be able to keep up with demand on the actual dolls. And as we described earlier, the main experience difference being we ended up just explaining it. The main experience difference being that the joints are not like a pressure joint, where you tighten the screw and it's going to determine how much or how well it moves. Mm-hmm. The joints are like a sort of a ratcheting, what he calls a haptic feedback joint. And it's going to kind of click into place and it will lock there. And it will be very strong and very flexible and
with
highly posable.
More range of motion as well.
So that is the last of our questions. We'll end the Q&A. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we hope you found this live stream informative. And we will be here next week, we think. So
we'll see.
Holidays are on the weekends right now. They're on Sundays, I think.
Yeah. We should be back here next week. I'm glad we were able to only miss 1 week this week and that I could actually be sitting here talking to y'all.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad I didn't have to do this alone. So, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next Monday.
Bye.
Bye.